Alright, so Shazam! Fury of the Gods is just a day away from being released in theaters, so I thought I should review 2019's Shazam. There are some more spoilery aspects towards the end of the film that I could spoil in this video, but I'm not going to because I want this review out there for the people that haven't watched Shazam yet. I'm sure most people clicking on this video have already watched it, but just in case I wanted to do a non-spoiler review, so I will actually address the spoilers in this film in my review for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So if you want my thoughts on that, check that out tomorrow, or maybe it's already out as you're watching this. The film is directed by David F. Sandberg, who directed films like Annabelle Creation and Lights Out. The screenplay is by Henry Gayden, story by Henry Gayden and Darren Lemke. If you're not familiar with the plot of this film, essentially you have a 14-year-old boy named Billy Batson who's going around from foster home to foster home when a wizard calls upon him to receive great powers. With these powers, he gains super strength, super speed, flight, and the body of an adult man. But obviously it's not all fun and games for Billy Batson because of course he has to go up against a villain who has the powers of all 7 deadly sins. In the film as Billy Batson, we have Asher Angel, and as his alter ego Shazam, we have Zachary Levi. As the villain in the film, Dr. Sivana, we have Mark Strong playing his second live-action DC villain. First one was Sinestro in the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern film. As the wizard who gives Billy Batson his powers, we have Demon Hansu. As Shazam's right-hand man slash guy in the chair, we have Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddie Freeman. But along with Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddie Freeman, we also have other members of the foster family that Billy becomes a part of. I feel all of these characters are integral to the story, so I'm going to mention all the actors and the characters they're playing. Starting with the host parents, we have Marta Millins as Rosa Vasquez and Cooper Andrews as Victor Vasquez. They don't play quite as big of a role as the foster kids in the movie, but still I very much like their characters. As the foster kids, starting with the youngest going to the oldest, we have Faith Herman as Darla Dudley, we have Ian Chen as Eugene Choi, we have Joven Armand as Pedro Pena, and Grace Caroline Curry as Mary Bromfield. Two biggest standouts of the 6 I just mentioned, the 2 that get the most to do in the movie, are Faith Herman as Darla and Grace Caroline Curry as Mary. I like Darla just because she's the youngest, she's really cute, and has some really funny lines in there. But Grace Caroline Curry as Mary, she doesn't get that much to do in the movie. Since she's the oldest, she gets a little bit more to do than the others. But I like her in particular because I just like her as an actress. Some of you might recognize her from the movie Fall that came out last year. She was great in that. All around, I think you have a really charismatic cast that work really well with one another. Now, to officially get into my review, Shazam, or as I like to call it, the superhero version of the movie Big, is one of my favorite DCEU films. I think this film, along with The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, were films that brought a little bit lighter of a tone to the DCEU that a lot of people were wanting. A decent analogy I just thought of is Shazam is essentially the Ant-Man series of the DCEU. Movies that are light, fun, and relatively family-friendly, also a little bit lighter on the stakes. That is in no way a bad thing. This film is very fun. Like I said, it's one of my favorite DCEU films. I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. But like most movies, I do have my criticisms. Let's go ahead and get the negatives out of the way so we can get back to the positives. But one of the big negatives of this film for me personally is the trouble with balancing tones. Like I said, the director David F. Sandberg worked on films like Annabelle Creation and Lights Out. He mostly has experience doing horror films. In this movie, there are elements that play off like a horror film. Like I said, with Dr. Sivana, he has the 7 deadly sins. And there are moments where they play with that and make it very terrifying for what is mostly a family-friendly film. Along with that, the character of Dr. Sivana almost feels out of place in this film, feels like he belongs in a Constantine movie. I don't know, I like Mark Strong, so I still enjoyed him in the film. For the most part, I don't care for the villain much, and having a slightly forgettable villain is a big deal for me. But back to the positives before I rank this movie. I do really like Asher Angel as Billy Batson, but the big standout, of course, is Zachary Levi as Shazam. I love that he is just a little kid trapped in a grown man's body, and I love how much fun he has as a superhero. Along with Zachary Levi, Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddie Freeman, they have such great chemistry in this film. They make the film for me. They are the best part of it. They're the reason to watch. I can't wait to see more of them in the next one. If I didn't say it enough already, the humor in this movie is fantastic. Everybody is charismatic. Their delivery is perfect. They all work great together. Sure, some of the humor in here, even though it came out back in 2019, is already dated, like the scene where Shazam is flossing. Yeah, that was outdated by the time the movie already came out. Some of the stuff in the movie does date the film a little bit in terms of the humor and the pop culture references and whatnot, but for the most part, they don't include too much of that to the point where it ruins anything. In fact, they're pretty sparing with that kind of stuff. Along with the humor, the family aspect in this film, or the foster family aspect, I should say, really tugs at the heartstrings. I've rewatched this movie many times, but this time around when I rewatched it, it hit me a lot harder than it has in previous viewings. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it has a really good story to it. In fact, I can say with full confidence that the family aspect of the films are what has me most excited for this next movie. But yeah, overall, it may have some issues when balancing certain tones in the film. It may not be completely family friendly, but for the most part it is. I think it's a fun family film to watch. If you have not watched it, I definitely recommend checking it out. So when it comes to my ranking, Shazam 2019 is a classic. But what did you think of the first Shazam? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you in the middle? Please no spoilers down in the comments below. This is not a spoiler review, so not trying to give away anything too huge. Like I said, I will address some spoilers from this movie in my review for Shazam Fury of the Gods. Have you not seen 2019's Shazam? Tell me down in the comments below. Are you planning on watching it anytime soon? Why or why not? Are you planning on watching it in preparation for the new film? Really, any comments you have for me, I'd very much appreciate hearing from you. I respond to as much as I can. But do me a favor and leave a like on this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and I will see you in the next one.